Imagine your business not just surviving, but thriving. Your wealth locked in, your opportunities exploding, and your family's future built on a legacy that never fades. I'm Leah Garcia, a financial strategist and insurance professional. I help entrepreneurs and high-growth enterprises protect, distribute, and transfer their wealth through my proven system, the Wall of Wealth. I unite your experts into one cohesive strategy because the most expensive line on your balance sheet isn't debt or taxes, it's conflicting advice. Ready to align every dollar with your mission and turn today's success into tomorrow's divine promise. Wealth today, Dynasty tomorrow.
And welcome on in, everybody. It's so great to have everybody. Welcome to the Dynasty Builders Open Enrollment Wake-Up Call with Miss Leah Garcia. As you guys know, we are here every day, every week, talking about financial literacy and financial education and how you guys can, too, make sure that you are getting in line. So today we have Miss Leah, and we are going to talk open enrollment, and I'm excited that we get to talk this conversation, Miss Leah, because honestly, most people don't know what open enrollment is. We know it through an employer, but we don't know it in a sense or a fashion of how we can take advantage of it. So let's get this conversation started. How are you today, Miss Leah?
Yeah, let's get this party started. And I am just bamboozled on how you're excited to talk about open enrollment, because I don't hear excitement and open enrollment in the same sentence very often. But other than that, I'm doing amazing.
Absolutely. And Miss Leah, I will have to say I am excited because excitement is when you learn something. And anytime I get to learn something with you about finances, I kind of get a little excited. I used to not. So let's jump right in here. I know, call me weird. It is okay. I just think that learning about these, and I used to not be that person. And so I share that because anybody listening that might not be, geeked out by the education of finance and how that is, I too was that person. But when you really start to understand it and understand how you can leverage it and it can work for you, you get kind of excited. And this is part of it, right? This is a part of the puzzle. So what can employers do to either provide benefits or save money on the benefits that they're currently offering?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. With open enrollment, a lot of employers are looking at the bottom line. Should they continue to offer benefits? Can they afford to offer benefits if they're not currently offering benefits? And I would urge them to look at the zero net cost benefit, where they can offer health and wellness benefits that are zero net cost to the employer and no out-of-pocket expense to their valued employees. So they can offer these benefits. It is something that they don't have to look at their bottom line. In fact, it will help to increase their bottom line, because as an employer, if you have at least 20 full-time employees, you may qualify for this incredible program that will also give you access to some additional tax credits and reduce your costs on your workers' comp. So not only are you providing high quality employer plans to your valued staff, but it also puts more money back in your pocket. So if somebody has either they're self-employed or they have a business, something that they can look at is offering these zero net cost benefits and really increasing their bottom line, and also just doing something incredible for their valued staff as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of times what people don't understand is that this is a benefit. This is not only just to, be there for you, but it's also to help you, all around. And we don't get geeked out about this stuff because we just think, oh yeah, it's one of those things. I don't understand it. Ask the HR lady what I'm supposed to do. Tell me what the card is like. Am I good? Can you leave me alone? Am I covered if I go to the hospital, kind of thing. And that's how people really are about open enrollment, especially when it's through an employer. I speak from experience. But kind of diving off of that before we move on is, is this important? And I know we're going to jump into this little more detail later on, but is this important also for people that are not working for an employer? Maybe they're self-employed. Maybe they own a corporation or a company themselves. Is this something that they need to also pay attention? Or maybe they're a solopreneur that, does network marketing or something that is non-traditional. What say you about that industry in that area and arena?
Absolutely. And just like you alluded to, even if you are an employee and you have benefits through your employer and your card's the same, your premium's the same, your looks like everything's the same, now is the time to take a deeper dive. I know it's not fun and exciting, but now is the time to take a deeper dive into your benefits. Go to your HR department, ask them, what are my deductibles? Does my network change? Because a lot of times, even though your card or the name of your plan may not change, the benefits may change. So now's the time for anyone, whether you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, side hustle, you are an employee, you are a business owner, entrepreneur, you qualify for the tax credits, you don't qualify for the tax credits. It's time for all of us to slow down, take a minute, and really look at your plan, because doing that today can save you much grief, heartache, and expense later.
Yeah. When you're young, you don't think about that heartache later. And then you get there and you go, darn it, why didn't I think of that heartache later? And so those are, that's words of wisdom that we all need to listen and to really kind of dive into. But before we kind of, branch off into more of that, independent solopreneur and not under the umbrella of an employer, let's get back over there and talk about what if I'm on an employer's plan. Is there anything that I should be aware of, what I need to be doing? Say I'm already on something. Do I need to be maintaining this every year? What is that if I'm new and if I'm existing and been there on a plan in that realm?
Yeah, gone is the day of set it and forget it. Back in the day, I've been in this industry now 20 years. And I have been selling health insurance since before. I'm like a dinosaur, since before the Affordable Care Act. You could kind of set your plan. It would be grandfathered in. There wouldn't be any changes. The premium might go up, but your plan was sort of locked in. Nowadays, everything changes. So we really have to slow down and take a look at what is our copay. That's where people get really incentivized. But really, it's about looking at what is your deductible, what is your co-insurance, what is your maximum out of pocket, and really important is what is your network? Do you have access to the doctors and hospitals that you want and need to have access to? Really, really critical. And I always urge people to look for a PPO rather than an HMO. And we can take a little bit more of a deep dive on that, but just really at first blush, those are some things you want to look at. Those are some things that you can ask your HR department, or if you are on individual plan, you can ask your agent. Look at how the plan fundamentally works, because that's the biggest thing. Is health insurance isn't about copays. It is about quality of care and protection of assets. Do you have access? Do you want to protect? Do you have a home, retirement accounts? And quality of care, meaning that if you should suffer a major diagnosis or a major accident, can you get access to the doctors and hospitals that are the specialists in that area of expertise, right? So really, really important. Those are some questions that they can ask themselves or even ask their agent or their HR department.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and kind of deep dive into that whole PPO HMO a little bit, because I think that's important. I speak from the experience of I'm in my early 40s. For the last 20 some years, I worked corporate America. Of course, we own our own business now, but for those 22 plus years I was in corporate America, I didn't understand what was so until I educated myself within the last 5 or 6 years within my corporate tenure. So can you help on a high level to allow the younger generation that might find this to understand what that looks like and what they need to be maybe doing now, and if they need to be making a change, when they make that change, and how they can kind of tell where they need to be HMO, PPO,
Yeah.
and the difference?
So I like to think of an HMO as an island. You have access to the doctors and hospitals on the island. However, as soon as you need to go to the mainland, something major happens, then you may or may not get access to that. You have to have Mother May I. Mother, may I get access to this? Yes, you may. No, you may not. I don't know if any of your any of our listeners know what Mother May I is, but that's an
Yep.
old-fashioned game we used to play. Mother, may I move forward? Yes, you may. Or they may say, no, you may not. And that's really critical to understand. An HMO, you only get access to that island. And I understand that it feels like, well, I never go anywhere. I don't travel. This is where I live and work. So of course, I want to go to something that's convenient. However, it's in those serious diagnoses or serious accidents, there may be only one specialist in the entire country. And if you're here in California and that specialist is in another state, then you want to get access to that. I've seen people sell their homes, their cars, pull money out of their 401ks, liquidate their retirement accounts to get access to doctors and hospitals that are outside of their network. So this can really decimate any financial plan. Take a moment, look at your card and see, do you have an HMO, which it should be right there on your card. But if you really want that warm fuzzy feelings, call the person that helped you to enroll and just ask. And you want to see it in writing. HMO, PPO on the island, or can I go off the island? Really, really basic.
Yeah, that I wish I had that explanation when I was younger, because I definitely played Mother May I growing up too. So, I think that's just because I grew up in the country, and so we just, there was a whole lot. I think it was also combination of Red Rover kind of a little
There
as
you
well. But anywho, yes, that is such a wonderful explanation, because you really, when people are like, well, in network and out of network, and you've got to get this and that, and you're like, huh? And you're like, I just, broke my toe. I'm just trying to get it fixed,
Right.
knock on wood. But yeah, and so that's such a great explanation for people to understand high level and how they can figure that out if they are through an employer, and how they have that and not through a personal private insurance. So, individually, I'm sorry, if I'm on an employer's plan and benefits are costly, can I opt out? And then on an individual, either no group plan available or self-employed business owners, like in 1099 contractors, is there something for them? So it's a two-part question. If I'm under that umbrella, can I get out of it? And if I'm on my own, what do I do?
Yeah, if you're on an employer plan, I'm finding I'm helping a lot of people right now. Their employer plan, although it might be subsidized, a portion of it might be subsidized by their employer, it's still very costly for them. And so they may want to opt out. Now, unfortunately, if you opt out of your employer plan, you cannot enjoy the tax credits and discounts through the marketplace. So if you opt out, then you're going to be going on to something that is an alternative. And if you're self-employed, solopreneur, entrepreneur, 1099er, then you have a couple of options. Again, if you're an employee opting out of your employer plan, you cannot go to the marketplace. But if you're a solopreneur, any of those other things, 1099, you can look at the marketplace and see if you would be able to enjoy any of the advanced premium tax credits. And maybe that makes your insurance affordable. If that does not appeal to you for a myriad of reasons, a couple of things is most of the plans that are available on the marketplace are going to be HMO or EPOs, and you will be on an island. Okay, you will have to say, Mother, may I. Secondly, the process can be very invasive. They're going to ask for your tax returns, proof of your income, proof of residency. Or they can ask about your children. Are they adopted? Are they their biological children? There's all kinds of that could be really invasive questions that you'll have to answer, and you'll have to keep that updated. So if that doesn't appeal to you, you can go directly to the insurance without the tax credits or discounts. Unfortunately, right now, that may be the most costly. So what I share with my happy clients, I've been sharing medical cost sharing plans for 15 years now. And that could be an affordable option. The investment on those is going to be probably half or maybe even a third of what they pay in the traditional marketplace right now. I'm helping a client, they're going to pay like $1,200 on their employer plan. We're going to put him and his wife for probably about $500. So we're talking about some serious dollars back in your pocket. Does that I know that was kind of a deep in the weeds. Does that make sense?
It does, because it's, the bottom line is putting money back in your pocket. That's what everybody heard, and it's not just about that, but it really is about that. Something my father told me a long time ago is people make decisions, whether it's politically, religiously, or lifelong, based off the money based in their pocket or what money's going to be in their pocket. And so that's the cut and dry of it. And wherever you stand, whether you're on the solo side of a 1099, a solopreneur, own your own company, or you're on the employer side under an employer umbrella, it's understanding where and how that you can best make that transition and understand where you are. Because the ultimate goal, Miss Leah, is to have the maximum coverage at the best price, right?
Yes.
All the way around, not just with open enrollment, with everything that you have.
It's good for everything. Yes, absolutely. I agree. We want to get the best for less.
Yeah, why not? That's just how life is. And then you also know that sometimes you get what you pay for. So you got to be mindful of that too. So, and that's why you have these conversations. So other than going to the marketplace, which is the ACA, is there another place that I can go to lower my premiums?
Yeah, that's going to be the medical cost sharing plans. And so let me kind of unpack that a little bit. They have been around. Medical cost sharing plans are not new. They've been around for almost 50 years, a long, long time. But they become more popular recently, especially in the past few years, because health insurance has gotten very costly, because the marketplace can be very invasive. And if you're self-employed, a lot of times we just don't have those resources to go direct to the insurance company and pay those high premiums. So medical cost sharing, a couple of things to understand about it. It doesn't work for everyone, okay? But for the right person, it can be a fantastic, almost like, the answer to your prayers. So a couple of things to understand is that they are not guaranteed issue. So if you are currently having a medical challenge, you're currently having a major diagnosis, this is probably not going to be a solution for you. Number two is they are not insurance. It'll say right there, and any agent that helps you has to give you that full disclosure. It is not insurance. And also, it's not part of the ACA. You will not receive any discounts or tax credits. And so that's kind of like the ugly. Okay, so if you are in relatively good health, you understand this is not insurance, although it will work and act like insurance. It's not part of the ACA. It doesn't have to adhere to the mandates. So why would someone want to be looking at a medical cost sharing? Well, number one, it would be if you're relatively good health. You don't have any medical conditions, you're not struggling with a major diagnosis right now. Secondly, it will work and act like insurance, and oftentimes it's going to give you benefits that are not really available right there with your traditional health insurance. And most medical cost sharing plans, now they're not all created equal. There are many, many, many that have popped up recently. So you really want to get deep into the weeds on this. But Number one is they're going to use an open network that will allow you to go on the island, off the island, anywhere in the world to get coverage. Some of them will even allow you to go to Thailand to get coverage. And here's the thing. If we get a major diagnosis, there are other countries often that have other treatments that are not available in the U.S. And if even still without the tax credits, you're looking at, saving 50% or even more. And if you pick the right plan and your state has a penalty, you would be able to not have to pay that penalty if you have a plan that is qualified, so that you don't have that pesky penalty. Because we don't want to jump from the fire into from the fireplace in the fire. We want to make sure that we're not increasing by having to pay a penalty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do, is to be able to, be making moves, and then all of a sudden you get a letter in the mail, or you get notified another way that you have a penalty or have been penalized for, some sort of move that you've made because you were uneducated. And to be honest, most of us are making those moves uneducated, because it is, like we've talked about multiple times on this channel, we're not teaching this in high school. We're not teaching this in middle school. We're not teaching really this in college. Basic accounting does not teach you finances and how to, make moves and invest, and to decipher where your best practice is going to be at that age group, right? Because it changes with age group. That's the biggest thing. And something Dave and I were talking about off screen was, is this only for, because you only see it for like Medicare open enrollment? And that's a good thing, Miss Leah. Let's jump into that real quick. Is open enrollment available to basically all ages? How does that work? Is it only open to, middle-aged and older, within Medicare? What does that look like real quick?
Yeah, that's a great question. Even though the Affordable Care Act has been around now for 15 years, we still kind of connect that term open enrollment to Medicare and to employer plans. But really, open enrollment is for everyone, whether you're self-employed, not self-employed. During an open enrollment process, which is happening now if you're in the U.S., that means that you can sign up for a new plan. It will be guaranteed issue, meaning that if you're having a major diagnosis right now, you've even had cancer, heart attack, stroke, any of those things, you can elect for a new plan. So that's the beautiful thing about it. It is guaranteed issue. You may or may not enjoy the tax credits, but you have an ability to get a plan without any medical qualifying. So the open enrollment is really for everyone right now. Open enrollment is really open, right? The door's open for all of us to look for health insurance.
That's a great, point. The doors are really open for all. And that's something. And again, you really only see the advertisement based around kind of that Medicare. And so we tend to think, oh, this is only for when we get that age, and I'm 25 or 30 and I don't need to worry about this. Nope. You too need to pay attention to this too. So what is medical cost sharing plans?
Yeah, we've talked about that. So medical cost sharing plans are something, they've been around for almost 50 years. They are basically is a group of individuals who gather together. They pay monthly premiums. It's actually called your monthly share because it's not insurance. And then they pay out claims. So that's in a nutshell basically how that works. Now, some of these medical cost sharing plans are connected to religious organizations, so you do have to adhere or subscribe to those types of religious beliefs. Others of them are not, and some are only available in certain states. So think of it as you're getting together with your friends, you're all putting money into a pot, and then when something happens, then those claims are paid out from that pot. So that's why they're not guaranteed issue, because you do have to be in relatively good health, meaning that you're not currently going to go ahead and participate in this money pot, and suddenly you're the one you're eating all the pizza. You're eating all the pizza. There's no pizza left for anyone else. And now they're going to say, you know what, we're going to throw you out because no, they will not throw you out. But we want to make sure that we're in good health so that there's pizza for everyone. Pie for all is what I say.
Pie for all. I love it. That is good. Nobody wants to come in and see that the pizza's all been eaten and they are late to the party. Speaking of like late to the party, and most times a lot of conversations avoid politics and religion, but this question is kind of going to dive into the political side of understanding this, but not, in a bad way. It is understanding why there's so much bickering in Congress when it comes to the tax credits that are available that you talk about so much. Why is everybody up in arms, Miss Leah, if you could tell us?
Yeah, so you know how we do it here. There's no rainbows and puppy dogs here. If you're looking for that show, that's a different channel. That's at a different bat time. We come here, we take off the gloves, we pull back the curtain, and we get naked here. So I'm going to tell you the real deal. This is what's going on, why there's so much back and forth. Our government was shut down for over a month. People were not getting their food stamps. They were not getting their Section 8. They were not getting paid. They're going to work voluntarily without a paycheck. So it's a big deal. What is this all about? Okay, are you ready? Are you ready?
Hey, I'm waiting.
Back in the day, before the Affordable Care Act, you had to apply for insurance and it could decline you. And there were other things you could do if you didn't qualify for that. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was able to participate and get guaranteed issue and give them some additional benefits. But if you look back 15 years ago and you look at what it costs to insure an entire family, I could have helped an entire family 15 years ago with a robust plan, low out of pocket, dental vision, all these great benefits for under $500. I'm talking about 5 or 6 kids. And here we go now. We're talking about $3,000 or $4,000. What has happened is these tax credits, remember, these tax credits do not go to the individual. These tax credits are a tax credit, and that tax credit dollars, when you go to the marketplace and that premium would be $3,000, but now you pay $500, that tax credit, that $2,500 goes to the insurance company. Let me say that again. That $2,500 doesn't go to that family, doesn't go to the individual, it goes to the insurance company. So now the insurance company, they're made whole, right? They get $500 from the individual, $2,500 from the tax credits. Well, what has happened is because they receive those tax credits, these rates have gone up even more dramatically. And so the bickering is about, should we be giving, it's like giving the fox in charge of the hen house, right? It's like giving them the everything. We're giving them the client. They're getting paid by the individual. They're getting paid by the government. So they kind of have a blank check is what's happening. And I want you folks, if you're listening to this and you think that I'm talking, wonky here, just do this really, really simple. Go back and look what the valuations were. What were the stock prices of any health insurance company that is around today 15 years ago? And you're going to see exponential, crazy growth in their stock prices because they are making money hand over fist. I'm telling you, this is like I said, it's like putting the fox in charge of the hen house. We're giving them the keys. So what is a solution? One of the things I've heard is instead of giving those tax credits to the insurance company, let's give the tax credits to the individual. Now they can decide how they use those tax credits. Do they want an HMO? Do they want a PPO? Do they want a medical cost sharing plan? Do they want to go ahead and self-insure? Do they want to start up an HSA? Like, give us the power and the choice. I believe we should have choices. So I like that idea. Will that happen? I don't know. But that's kind of, does that help to kind of decipher what's actually going on in the background?
Well, it does. It makes it real clean and clear, without the emotion of, the sides, right? Because a lot of times when the political conversation comes up, there's an emotion and a tie to a side, or to a point, or to whatever that is, and it's usually an emotional connection, and so people can't have a very open conversation about what is going on at high level without the emotion. And so when you take the emotion out of it and have that conversation and share with us that it is essentially where the tax allocations of the credits are not coming to you and I as the end user, as the insured, and it's going to the said insurance companies, and it's causing a lot of rift. Unfortunately, we saw somebody, an executive, lose his life because of this possibility. Not saying it's all that. This is not saying, oh, it was solely that, but it adds to the issue. This is a part of, as you were talking about pie earlier, this is there, and what you do with, finance, financial information and education and literacy, as well as insurance, as well as understanding these tax credits and the open enrollment. There's so many things to the pie, just like that. There's so many things to the pie, and that when that happens, emotions get heated, and people take things into their own hands, and it is getting to a point where something has to give. And I will say it from this point, as you know, and many of your audience probably knows that is watching, we live 12 hours away from you, well, 15 hours away from you right now, 12 hours away from East Coast. We're on the other side of the world in Bangkok, Thailand. Here's the harsh reality. The amount of times that it takes us in our healthcare system, whether it's the time, the cost, all of that, you could fly to Bangkok, go to one of the most premier healthcare communities in the world, like Houston, Texas is one of the premier healthcare communities in the world, and be seen within the same day by all the specialists that you need to see same day, if not that day, the next day. They are very cognitive of your travel plans. If you need treatment, getting you taken care of, so that way you can make your flight back out. It is cheaper for you to fly over here, stay over here, eat, get top tier medical service, and go back to the United States, whether that's dental, medical, or vision. And it blows people's mind. And they actually save money by doing that, thousands of dollars. And so that is a result of when we talk about tax credits. You might think, well, Tara, why'd you go off on the deep end there? It's because this is a result of these tax credits that go to the insurance companies, and they are just making out like bandits. And we are footing the bill. And people are saying, I need my money to go farther, longer, better, and wiser. Just like we started talking about at the beginning of this conversation.
Amen, sister. And I will pay you later, because that was a beautiful infomercial about medical cost sharing plans. Imagine that you had a medical cost sharing plan and you're having a situation, and that treatment is in Thailand. And now you get access to that doctor, that hospital, and your benefits still cover you. That is quality care. That is giving the choice back to the consumer. We should be able to make the decisions to take care of our good health. It's our life. We only get one chance at our good health. And if we believe that that treatment is in Thailand, then we should be able to get access to that. So that was a mic drop. I know you're not Miss Mic Drop, but you're Mrs. Mic Drop in my book. So
absolutely. And the treatment over here, because people think, well, that's a third world country. Oh my gosh, first of all, it's not a third world country. They're doing things better than America in some instances. And the time of healthcare, when you're in and out and seeing specialists, and this could be come in for a full health checkup, and all of a sudden they say, oh, you need to go see this specialist, this specialist, this specialist. And they've got you through 3 specialists in less than an hour. That is service, my friends. And it's top tier, like you're at a 5-star hotel. Like, I cannot tell you people how amazing the healthcare systems are outside of the United States, going to Colombia, going to Mexico, going, here. When we had to use the medical system in Mexico, same thing, fast. I mean, David was in and out, sliced his hand open, needed stitches. It was in and out fast at the hospital, cost us less than nothing for all inclusive. It's just the fact of understanding that there's options, and there's options to be able to travel, go get it done, have a little vacation, and come back. It's why they call it almost medical tourism, really.
Yeah.
Get a little vacation while you're at it. Unfortunately, more fortunately. So, and less headache. So, as we shift gears and kind of, wind down this conversation, the last couple questions here, we're going to start talking about over 65 Medicare options here. So I've heard a lot of things are changing in Medicare. I am not of the age of Medicare, but it is important because I do have family members that are of the age of Medicare. And so this is nice to know about what it is all about, so I can help, possibly share some information with them and all the lovely people listening today. So share about that, Miss Leah.
Yeah, so right now in Medicare, a lot of Medicare Advantage plans, which are HMOs, remember they are island plans, a lot of those are being discontinued. So there are many thousands and thousands of Medicare eligible, meaning 65 or older, that are losing their HMO plan. And so this is a big deal because a lot of people, that is the most affordable for them. And when we go into a PPO, that can be very costly. Let me give you an example. A lot of people might be paying, $0 or $30 or $50 a month for their HMO plans. That's kind of how they seduce people into those, is because they are super affordable. But remember, it is an island. You do have to ask Mother May I, and most of the times it will say, no, you may not. They don't allow you to really get coverage off of the island. So if somebody is losing their Medicare Advantage plan, now's the time that you may want to look into a PPO or really take a deep dive in, does having an HMO make sense long term? It may be okay now, but you're healthy now. You've never had an issue. You're totally good health. As we get older, we've got a much higher chance of having a medical crisis. And that's where I've seen so many people get tricked up. I've had probably in this past year, I hate to say it, but 4 or 5 clients who were unfortunately on an HMO. They did ask Mother May I. They did say, no, you may not. And several of them have passed away because they were not able to get that access. So if you're 65 or older, right now is the time to really look at, can you afford to get onto a PPO? So that's part of the big thing that's happening. But one of the big things that's happening right now in Medicare, which is the over 65 community.
Yeah. And that's, it's things that you have to be wise to and hip to the game. And fortunately, I'll say this, as we get older in life, our cognitive skills are not always there. And I mean that in the sense that our healthcare system and Medicare system really kind of is challenging to learn and to understand, especially when you're, aging, and you're quote unquote having that slide back down into childhood mindset, because that's, as we know, that's the regression of what happens, and so knowing these things, staying hip to the game, understanding how, where, what, when, why, and how it's impacting you. And unfortunately, the sad truth is that people are passing away when changes are made, and things fall through the gaps and don't fall through the gaps or don't get moved out of the gaps. That it has an impact to people's loved ones. So what is what are the options if a senior is losing their Medicare Advantage plan, HMO, and what can they do about that? Are there alternatives? What are some options that come down the pipeline if that's what they're facing?
Yeah, and I kind of want to highlight something you kind of alluded to, and that is Medicare is of bamboozlement. It is a maze of confusion. I used to sell Medicare, original, basic Medicare, original Medicare, Advantage plans, and I really saw how really discombobulated the system is. And it was such a confusing process that I just really couldn't participate in it. So I have not sold Medicare or traditional Medicare in many, many years. I did that early in my career. I didn't like it for that exact reason. So if somebody's losing their Medicare Advantage plan, they can go to another Medicare Advantage plan if they enjoy a Medicare Advantage plan. Maybe that's all they can afford, because it can get more costly to get to a PPO. But they might want to also look at a PPO. Take a look at that. Look what the rates are. And if you are 65 and older, medical cost sharing, which I'm a champion for. I love medical cost sharing plans. If you can't tell that by now, I do. I have many clients who've used them. I use it myself. And this is what happens if you're 65 and older. Medicare medical supplement is guaranteed issue. That means if you are currently having a medical challenge and you are currently on Medicare, whether it's an Advantage plan or a PPO, supplement, whatever you have, you can opt in to a medical cost sharing plan that will be guaranteed issue. Meaning if you've had cancer, heart attack, stroke, you're currently going through a current situation, your health is a little bit challenged, or maybe it's a lot challenged. Medical cost sharing plans, the specific ones now you have to ask, but there are certain medical cost sharing plans that will accept 65 and older without any medical conditions. And now you can get access and enjoy an open network, meaning you can go to any state, any county, any city, and any doctor or hospital that accepts original Medicare. Now you can't go to Thailand. However, you're going to be able to access an open network in the USA.
Yeah. And, if we can dive into there just a second, because I know you love Medicare, medical cost sharing plans, but what if someone, because what are the accounts called, Ms. Leah, because I'm going to butcher this, but where you basically save money through the year that go into your personal medical kind of cost plan where you can use that for whatever you need, but you need to use it within the year. What is the name of that?
Well, there's a couple of them. So one is an FSA. If you have an employer, then a lot of times employers will have the FSA. So that's an account, and the employer basically will contribute. And you're right, those dollars expire year to year. However, if you are an entrepreneur, self-employed business owner, I like to help them set up an HSA, health savings account. Now, you do need to have an HSA compatible insurance, medical insurance plan. And by the way, guess what? Yes, you guessed it. Medical cost sharing plans, there are medical cost sharing plans that are HSA compatible. So yes, you can put money aside, and those HSA dollars are going to roll over every single year. You can use them towards retirement if you don't use them for your medical. But you can use them for a laundry list of things. You can use it for your co-pays, deductible, Band-Aids, vitamins, glasses, dental work, all kinds of great things. And it's a double dip, meaning that it is a tax deduction for you and it's tax exempt when you spend the dollars. I call it using the same dollar twice. Like, how many times do you use the same dollar twice in this world?
Yes, ma'am. How many times do you get that opportunity? So let's dive deeper a little bit on that question, because are you able to use those funds on medical tourism? Say you want to go to Thailand or you want to go to Colombia to get your dental done. Can you use medical saving accounts towards that if it's covered, because I do know, like you said, there are some plans that are covered around the world. And so what does that look like? Because again, look, David and I and the Hello LLC, we are not in medical tourism at all. But I get so many people that ask me that question because it's really something that is important to a lot of people in our society in America. The cost of time effort, energy, and the physical cost of your treatment and solutions is astronomical. So people are looking elsewhere, and they get wind of, well, we hear you're saying it's better. You're having medical treatments. The other people are saying it. Is it so? How does that work? Can people save money to be able to say, you know what, I need that $2,000 to go over there and get the same thing that would cost me $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 here in America done around the world somewhere?
Boom, boom, boom. Mic drop. I don't know. Move over, Mr. Mic Drop. Miss Tara's in the house. She is just dropping gold right now, dropping golden nuggets. Yes, you can. Check this out. Medical cost sharing plans are more affordable than traditional health insurance. It allows you to use an open network. There are plans that are HSA compatible, meaning that you can put those dollars aside tax deductible, right? Tax deductible. And you can put up to, I think it's like $4,500 a year individual. As a family, it's like $8,000. Quite a big chunk of change. You're looking for a last minute tax deduction, and you're self-employed entrepreneur, business owner, that could be an incredible opportunity for you. And you can use them for treatment outside the country. Think about that. This is where, when I talk about, it is about quality of care. This is what I mean. We have to allow us as a consumer to be in charge of our good health and stop allowing HMOs, somebody who doesn't know you. It's an actuary behind the counter and they're just punching the numbers. That's all you are to them. You're a number. You're not a person. You're not somebody who's a loved one. You're not somebody who wants to be there to continue your life, to be there for your family and your grandchildren. You're just a number. And if it doesn't make actuary sense, then here's a bottom line. Listen, this is getting naked. We talk the real deal here. They're not going to give you the treatment. That's all there is to it. And if you guys want to look, there was a situation where a very famous person was asking our government to get him access to treatment because he had a plan that rhymes with Meisner. We're not going to say what it is, but you guys know what I'm talking about. They approved the treatment. However, they never gave it to him. He had to get an act of Congress, literally, to get him access to this. How many of us can pull those kind of strings? We can't, but we can put ourselves in charge, but it takes a little bit of elbow grease. It takes a little bit of time. You do have to do some research, and you have to understand how the medical cost sharing plans work. For the right person, you see how excited I am? For the right person, it's a win-win-win all the way around.
It really is, and people don't understand the, and I want to be a testament to this because the level of quality of service that you get is better than what you're finding in the United States, period. The technology, cleanliness, professionalism, timeliness. I'm telling you, you cannot get in and out of the doctor and see 3 specialists and get everything done that you need done and say, have a beautiful life and enjoy your extra 4 days of Thailand and see you next time you come this way in a day or 2 at the very max. You are waiting months in the States. You are paying thousands of dollars. I watched a TikTok the other day of a gentleman from the United States that was needing some medical services done. Actually, there was 2 TikToks. It was an older gentleman that was needing medical services done, and it was going to cost him about $12,000 in the United States, and it was going to be about 3-month waiting period. His son, he had a health savings account that he had some money stacked away on, and his son did some research, contacted a team here in Bangkok, Thailand that specializes in medical tourism. They took care of everything. They booked his flight. They put him up in a 5-star hotel. By the way, all of this, I mean, they put him at a 5-star, got him inside of the 5-star treatment center that did a full head to toe scans. I mean, everything in less than an hour, had every reading and test could be done in less than an hour, and back and talk to the doctor to find out exactly what was needed outside of just that medical treatment to make sure that wasn't the only thing that needed to be done. All of that to be said, spent 1 week here in Bangkok, Thailand, and his son came with him, and it cost him, ready for this? The medical treatment alone cost him $700,000. versus
Wow.
$12,000.
Wow.
He spent a
Wow.
total of $1,500 on the entire thing with flights, because where he booked it through the medical tourism, they have coupon codes. They have a discounted rate through um, um, airlines, so that way they can get him a cheaper airfare to come over, a group rate and whatnot. All of that package was about $1,500 for his full-time stay at a five-star hotel, airfare, food, everything. Um, I share that with people because we think that it's not good quality. We think that it's lesser than. We don't think that they're as educated. They don't have the skill set. They don't have the technology. We think it costs just the amount and the time takes, and it's not true. The same thing, I watched a gentleman that needed about $5,000 worth of dental from Australia come over, and it only cost him $500. The dental, $5,000 to $500. And he said the dental care was astounding. He said he didn't even know he was having dental work done. It felt like a day at the beach, because it was so gentle, professional, quick, and easy. So again, we're not talking medical tourism at all, but we are advocates of people being educated and understand that you have choices. You have choices.
Absolutely. And to your point, Ms. Tara, I've had several clients personally who have saved their life going outside of the country, going to Mexico, going to the Philippines. So absolutely. And here's the biggest part. Yes, it's wonderful and sexy to talk about an HSA, and now we can have, instead of paying $12,000, we're paying $700. But here's the bottom line. It's about time is of the essence. If you have to wait for weeks, months, or even years, and you've got to put on your boxing gloves, and you've got to fight with the HMO, and you've got to try to get them to lobby to get that care, that clock is ticking. That clock is ticking, and you may not have the time necessary to wait for that. Here, you can go get it done. It's there. You're good. Your life, you can go back to living your life. So I love that story. The check's in the mail, ma'am. I don't know what else to say to you.
Well, and it's the beautiful thing that we get to have this conversation. We get to bring this to other people. We get to share this so that way people can find this, whether they're, joining us today, which we've had a few people, buzz through here on LinkedIn, on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. And it's going to be up on those sites, forever. So people will get to, have this conversation and listen to this conversation and how important that let's do this when we think of open enrollment, because this conversation started with open enrollment and it's ended with being wiser to our medical game plan. But I think everybody needs to take it like this. Let's think outside the box when it comes to our health insurance. We no longer need to believe in that we need to have full coverage insurance. We need to look at our options and understand how to best cover ourselves instead of living in the world of what we've been told about grow up, go to college, get, married, have babies, and get your full covered coverage insurance and get your health insurance and your life insurance, and then work your 30, 40 years, retire for 40 years, the 40-40-40 plan, and then out you go. That's not how this goes anymore. And Miss Leah is that testimony. She is that lighthouse that is leading people to the financial education that people need to know so they can have the right knowledge to make the right choice for themselves, because what is good for somebody at 65 is not the same choice at 35. And we need to be knowledgeable of how to make sure that we're planning now and planning for the future, and understanding that we can think outside the box. And I will share this. Many years of my life, especially my corporate career life, I spent not covered by full coverage insurance, zero insurance. If something happened, it was going to be 100% out of pocket. Now, that makes everybody cringe when they hear that, because that is really flying by the seat of your pants and not making sure you have a safety net. But when you're in your 20s, you don't think of it that way. And you work for a company that doesn't offer that because they're a small company, and you just bank on the fact that you're not going to get hurt. And if you do, they will take care of you because they were those type of people. they had that level of integrity. But that's not for everybody. And the thing is to understand now how to make sure that you're protected in case of emergency, and how to make sure that you're preventative, and how you can go ahead and move about and utilize different options, different plans to make sure that you're best covered and not paying just for something because you think, oh, I got full coverage, or I'm 80-20 PPO plan and I'll be good. I'll just cover the 20%. And no, that's not the case when it really comes down the pipeline. So, today's conversation's been great, Miss Leah. Any closing remarks we want to say as we leave outside of the extra medical tourism conversation that we've had?
Medical tourism, that's a beautiful thing. I love that. And let me just sweeten those medical cost sharing plans for you folks, if anyone's considering a medical cost sharing. What I do for my happy clients is I couple that with living benefits. So let me give you an example what this looks like. Now you have, unfortunately, this diagnosis. You're going to pay low out of pocket. You can do the medical tourism, but you also have the living benefits, meaning that you're going to receive a check for hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially. And now they're paying you to go to Thailand, and you can take that trip to Tahiti when you're all good and put back together.
I love it. It's the proverbial putting Humpty Dumpty back together, right? But this is with, education, knowledge, know-how, and who can take care of that. And that, my friends, is Miss Leah Garcia. And if you don't know, go out to leahgarcia.io. You can book a 15-minute coffee chat with Miss Leah and ask these questions. She is here to answer those questions. She is here to help you understand if you want to just work on one piece of the pie, or you need to see the whole pie. And again, understanding where you're at, where you need to go, and what is so, and how to get there is not everybody's cup of tea, but that's what she excels at. And I say this because Leah and I have these conversations behind the scenes that she says, technology is not my cup of tea, Tara. It is yours. Design is not my cup of tea. That is yours. And I say kudos to you, Ms. Leah, because financial literacy and insurance, awareness, and being able to how to proper plan and understand proper planning to where that way you can proverbially get to the set and forget. Not always, but that way you just are covered, and you're not like Tara Bush flying by the seat of her pants at the age of 20 without health insurance. You just don't want to do that. That's not the smartest plan ever. So this is a helpful conversation. And the next conversation that we have coming down the pipeline, Ms. Leah, is next month. And share with everybody what we're going to be talking about then.
What are we going to be talking about then? Let's see. I don't know. What's our conversation?
We will actually be talking about insurance and and your Black Friday and holiday sales that are coming down the pipeline.
Holiday specials are coming up. Now that is going to be a fun. Who doesn't like extra? I just saw all these companies coming out with their Black Friday deals. So yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of fun things, saving some money, making money, growing your money, all things money, because your wealth today should be your dynasty tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. And that's what it is. And, with that said, Miss Leah does have some amazing holiday specials that we are finalizing actually as we speak. So those will be going live actually tomorrow. And so jump out there. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they are because they have not been finalized. I do not want to say something and then all of a sudden I have to make Miss Leah hold face to a commitment that was not what she wanted. So, all I'm going to say is jump out there, go to leahgarcia.io, check out those services. But most importantly, before just checking out the services of being able to have Miss Leah help you with game planning strategy, trust strategy, custom solution packages, understanding where your wall of wealth is what you need to improve, what you need to adjust, is just getting on the phone with her and having that 15-minute coffee chat. That's really what it is. And understanding what you can do and where you need to go and how to move forward from there. So with that said, Miss Leah, you know the drill. As always, we wish everybody a beautiful week, a wonderful day. Be educated, be in the know, open enrollment. enrollment is not just for the seniors. It is for you too. And you need to go do yourself some justice, check up, make sure you're good. And if you have questions, book a coffee chat with Miss Leah and she can help you with those questions. So with that said, Miss Leah, anything as we get out of here?
No, let's go doodles. Toodles.
Awesome sauce. As you know, love, kindness, and integrity, commitment, and consistency is what it's all about. And thanks for being here. We'll see you next time, beautiful people.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms.
Bye-bye.
Imagine your business not just surviving, but thriving. Your wealth locked in, your opportunities exploding, and your family's future built on a legacy that never fades. I'm Leah Garcia, a financial strategist and insurance professional. I help entrepreneurs and high-growth enterprises protect, distribute, and transfer their wealth through my proven system, the Wall of Wealth. I unite your experts into one cohesive strategy because the most expensive line on your balance sheet isn't debt or taxes, it's conflicting advice. Ready to align every dollar with your mission and turn today's success into tomorrow's divine promise. Wealth today, Dynasty tomorrow.